I'm Tom Trombley. I'm from the Castle Museum of Saginaw County History, and today we're at Forest Lawn Cemetery. Forest Lawn Cemetery is one of the 3 cemeteries that are owned and operated by the city of Saginaw. And you may wonder, if you're not familiar with Saginaw history, why Saginaw has 3 city cemeteries. And that is because Saginaw was originally 2 separate cities, Saginaw City and East Saginaw. Saginaw City Cemetery is Oakwood Cemetery, and the East Saginaw cemeteries are Brady Hill and Forest Lawn. Brady Hill is north of Forest Lawn Cemetery, and as it started to fill up in the late 1870s, the city acquired property at the very southern edge of the city, and this is what is now Forest Lawn Cemetery, that was established in 1881. When it was originally laid out, it was designed by Joseph Earnshaw, an engineer and landscape architect from Cincinnati, and it was described as being the most modern of cemeteries, that it was laid out really with the plan that it would be a place where people could come on a Sunday afternoon and really pay respect to the deceased as almost a park-like setting. We might think that when a cemetery is designed that it remains unaltered, but that isn't the case with Forest Lawn Cemetery or really any cemetery. They're constantly a work in progress. And in the case of Forest Lawn Cemetery, the really beautiful chapel and receiving vault were constructed in 1901. They were designed by a local Saginaw architect by the name of Hogg and Sherman. And then about 1909, 1910, the city decided to do an extensive reworking of Forest Lawn Cemetery and engaged the noted landscape designer O.C. Simons. Simons was hired to rework the cemetery entrances, and the Washington Avenue entrance, which was always a busy spot, and you can tell by the traffic, still is on a very busy location. He reworked extensively. The really beautiful granite and wrought iron gates that are at the cemetery entrance today. At that time, he laid this area out, and the landscaping, if you look at it, some of the trees are still the ones he selected, but he also left space for what would be an office and what was described through a euphemism as a comfort station, a restroom, but also a stop for the interurban system. The interurban traveled between cities in Michigan, and this was actually a station for the interurban. At that time, Simons reworked the plantings around the chapel, and for those of you, if you come out here and look really carefully, you can still see kind of a planting of trees that he planted to soften the effect of the chapel. It was kind of a grove. It's more intact on the north side. And really at that time, he really emphasized the Washington Avenue entrance. And notice I keep saying Washington Avenue because there was another entrance to the cemetery. It was at Jefferson Avenue, and we're going to go down there in a few moments and take a look at where the Jefferson Avenue entrance to the cemetery was located. I'm standing in front of Wellington R. Burt's mausoleum. It was erected in 1905. Many of you may be familiar with Wellington R. Burt, who was an incredibly successful lumberman in Saginaw and was also incredibly generous to the community. He left what was originally the Burt Manual Training School, which was right across from Saginaw High School on Warren, not where the current location for Saginaw High School is located, but right downtown. And then he also, amongst his many gifts, gave a lead gift for the Saginaw Auditorium. Burt is often remembered, however, by not what he gave and what he accomplished, but the complexity of his will, which was actually only settled a few years ago. Originally, he set up an elaborate trust that was to benefit his community and his family. However, as he became disenchanted with the community, when he became annoyed with some of his children, he kept cutting people out of the trust. So in the end, the main beneficiaries were cut out of it. And if you just Google Wellington R. Burt will, if you're watching this, you can find all of the details. Like his will, Wellington R. Burt's intentions often were different than how they ended up turning out. And this is the case with his mausoleum. When it was erected in 1905, the newspaper stated that it was one of the largest of its types in the state, if not the largest, and that it would be facing the Jefferson Avenue entrance. If you come out to visit Forest Lawn Cemetery and look around, you may be perplexed that there was a Jefferson Avenue entrance because there isn't one today. What happened was the Jefferson Avenue entrance, which had been fitted in the early teens with an elaborate gate, which was given by the heirs of William Weber, who is an early Saginaw attorney and very active in community affairs. It became a secondary road that led through the cemetery and actually a shortcut for people who wanted to go from Jefferson Avenue to Washington Avenue. And so by the 1920s, it was padlocked and only opened in the cases of funerals. Of course, it was perfectly situated if a funeral procession was coming down Jefferson Avenue from some of the churches in the downtown area. And sometime in probably the 1950s, the gates were removed and the entrance totally sealed. So Wellington R. Burt's mausoleum, rather than facing the Jefferson Avenue entrance and being prominently visible as you entered the cemetery, is now facing the back of the cemetery. It's certainly just as imposing as he anticipated. However, it is not nearly as visible as was expected. In this video, we've only touched on a few of the things that make Forest Lawn Cemetery such an interesting and intriguing place to explore and to discover. So we encourage you to come out to Forest Lawn Cemetery and explore and learn more about the history of Saginaw and the people who've made this community and have made this community such a special place. Also, we encourage you to explore the entire community and visit Saginaw. And then, of course, stop by the Castle Museum of Saginaw County History and learn more about the history of the city and the county in which we're located. Thank you so much.